Welcome to the Get Sculpted podcast. We're your hosts, Tiana,
Jordana,
and Marilyn.
This podcast is all about cutting through the noise and giving you the real deal on fat loss, muscle building, and what it really takes to build your 2.0 sculpted self, inside and out. Our motto is to work smarter, not harder. We'll break down science-based and actionable strategies to optimize your metabolism, ditch the diets, and create a sustainable, fit, and healthy lifestyle that actually works for you. So if you're ready to get stronger, not just skinnier, and embrace a body you love, hit that subscribe button and let's get sculpted. Hello and welcome back to the Get Sculpted podcast. I'm really excited about today's episode. This is for the ladies who are 40 and over, or even approaching 40, and who might be thinking, is it too late for me to get in really good shape? Maybe that ship has sailed. Maybe the best years of my life are behind me. And speaking from even us in this circle here, we work with mostly women of that age group. And you ladies are over 40. I'm going to be there in a few years. And I think it's safe to say that it is not too late. Am I right, girls?
Absolutely not too late. Never too late.
Okay, good. So don't take our word for it, because we are going to prove that to you in today's episode. We're going to break down for you exactly what happens when you're at 40, approaching 40, hormonally, lifestyle-wise, what needs to shift for you to see results. And hopefully by the end of this episode, you're going to be reassured that your body's not broken, your metabolism is not damaged. It is not hopeless for you to get a sculpted body, a lean body, and just be more athletic than you've ever been. Let's dive in. The first thing I want to start with is what sparked the creation of this episode. And that is several DMs I've had with women, specifically one that I'm thinking of, where she was concerned about her new body fat that she's accumulated around her midsection, approaching 40. She was someone who said, hey, I've always been slim. This has never been an issue. I think she did cheerleading and she was always active, but she just can't lose this extra weight. It was around 15 pounds. And she said, I think because I'm over 40, before I do any muscle building thing or before I start strength training, before I start any meal plan, I need to do a hormone protocol to kind of prime my body. And the first thing I thought was, well, the alarm bells went off, because what is going to prime your hormones is very much that exact thing: building more muscle, building a healthy metabolism, strength training, and all the things you do through lifestyle. But then it had me thinking, there's so many misconceptions out there when it comes to what it really takes to get lean and what it takes to build a strong body. And I think that gets perpetuated even more when women are approaching 40, especially if they've been slim for their whole life, because now the things that used to work for them are just not working anymore. Have you guys found that as well? Can you speak to that?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I feel like that is the primary thing I hear all the time, whether it's from people that I'm talking to in real life, like out at events, and they're chit-chatting and they're like, all the things that I used to do to get fit and strong, they just don't work anymore. They backfire. They were too aggressive and now my body needs something else. And they immediately think that there's something wrong with them instead of thinking there was actually something wrong with the plan they were trying to follow.
That is a very good point. And I always equate it to drinking alcohol. So if someone was a drinker, let's say in college, and they were able to handle that, I don't know about you, but I could drink and go out 5 days in a row and no problem. But I don't drink anymore, 3.5 years. But
I couldn't do it then and I can't do it now.
Okay. Some of us were going like Charlie Sheen, like myself. So, but when I even was drinking up until my early 30s, I was like, I just can't do this anymore. And your body's ability to recover just gets reduced. And it's the exact same thing with these crazy workout plans and doing boot camps. I also did that very hardcore, like 5 hours of boot camps a week and these restrictive diets and running on no sleep. All these things might have worked for you, but they were never optimal. And that's what we want you to know. They might have gotten you skinny in your 20s, but you could be so much more. You could be thriving. You could have more energy. So what we want to encourage you here is that your 40s are not only a time when things have to decline, you have that in your power to prevent that, but you can also thrive through these years. And I think that's pretty cool. You can make these the best years of your life. So that's what we're going to share with you today. Number one thing we want you to take home is that you're not broken. Your metabolism is not damaged beyond repair. You might have this idea that your body is just older and doesn't respond the same. But the truth is there's still so much potential for you to get lean to the point that you have a flat stomach, even if you are accumulating more belly fat now, to see visible muscle definition, even more than you've ever seen in your life. And the important thing here is that you are working with your body to achieve that and not against your body. So I want to talk about what actually changes when it comes to this age and why we magically seem to see things shift. Okay. Number one, your ability to recover from stress is going to decline when you are approaching 40. There are some shifts happening hormonally. And I know that we're going to talk about this in a minute, but your estrogen and progesterone is something that fluctuates at this stage. Your estrogen starts to decline. And this is why you just can't handle the same amount of stress. And stress can be from overexercising. It can be just from life stress. It can be from undereating and constantly doing calorie deficits. So this is why your body is not responding in the same way. So the opposite of that would be to focus on doubling down on the recovery, to focus more on the thing that's going to actually make you able to show up consistently. The reason we always hear the stat that muscle starts to decline after 35, and it does for most women, is simply because their lifestyle has adjusted in a way that is allowing it to decline. So in other words, it's more lifestyle related rather than just related to the fact that you're turning 40 or this is your age. All of these things combined together, the hormonal shifts, the recovery is disrupted, and you're less active than you used to be. You're walking less than you were maybe when you were, single and living downtown, walking everywhere. Now you have a family, you have an office job. This is something we commonly see. Now, all of a sudden, you have the perfect storm for you to accumulate more body fat and you're not able to maintain the muscle that you have or build new muscle. And this is where you can even start experiencing some health issues. If you are under-muscled, under-fueled, your metabolism's shifting, you could even notice you're starting to get some insulin resistance. And this is when it's harder for your body to manage blood sugar, your energy levels, and your cravings are going to increase as well. If this is something you can relate to, then we're going to share with you actually how you can optimize these things. And there's one more really important thing that I want to mention, and this is sleep. And this ties into everything we talked about. So with these hormonal shifts and with more sedentary lifestyle, with less than adequate nutrition, and with perimenopause, due to all those fluctuating hormones, your sleep is going to be more in the toilet. It could be getting worse and maybe you've never had that issue. And this is a perfect storm because the more poor your sleep is, you're going to have a reduced ability to control your cravings. You're not going to be able to perform as well in the gym. You're not going to be able to recover as well. And that really sucks because we know that your recovery is worse in this stage of life. The good news is, because I know it sounds like I just gave you a bunch of bad news, that it is within your control to be able to optimize these things. So we're going to segue into Jord, and you're going to share with us why muscle is the missing link and how it can help with all of these things, 40 and beyond.
Yes, I love the saying that muscle is the organ of longevity. If you are looking for the fountain of youth, if you are looking to feel young, to feel strong, to be lean, to be living your fit life for all your years to come, the thing you need to prioritize most is not just how to get lean, but it's also how to stay lean. And the number one thing that's going to help you do that is to have enough muscle. Just like you said, T, we don't want to see the muscle mass declining, and we don't want to see that starting at 35 or even accelerating as we get into our 40s. We want to mitigate that as much as possible. And so the first thing that is very important to start to absorb, if you're listening and you're like, I don't want to get bulky, I don't want to think about muscle, I've only ever had to think about losing fat. Well, that's actually the reason why you are stuck the way that you are, because you've only lived in that fat loss mode for literally ever, which means you've been under eating, you've been under fueling, and you've created, like you said, T, that perfect storm for you to have declining muscle, which then slows your metabolism, which then softens up your whole physique and allows you to gain that belly fat or fat anywhere across your body. So that lower metabolism is ultimately what is having us create that extra fat around our bodies because we're not doing the things we need to do to preserve the muscle mass. So what do we need to be doing? Ladies, you need to be lifting heavy. I think we say this in literally every episode. And that lifting heavy means something different to every person based on how long you've been in the gym and your experience with lifting. And this is why I absolutely love being able to dive deeper with our clients and help them understand what it actually means to them. So I want to actually give a little example of one of my clients, Diane. She is a grandma. She still works full-time in the tech industry, so she's sitting at a desk all the time. and they have a cottage. And so they travel between the two places. And she came to me and she was just like, I just want to be this strong, fit grandma. I want to be able to get on and off the ground. I want to be able to like run. I want to be able to go and have fun at the cottage. She chops literally like a season's worth of wood herself over 3 days. And she's like, I just want to be able to know I can do it, and not feel sore from it. And so the number one change that we made with her in the gym was actually having her lift heavier. She transitioned out of her home gym, went into a physical gym so that we could have access to the machines and the racks and the heavier weights that were going to set her up for longer term success. And I just shared her progress not that long ago. And what was super cool is over the course of several months, she lost about 25 pounds, over 30 inches.
Wow.
And she is jacked. She's got like these lean, strong, beautiful muscles, this like very hourglass feminine shape. And she's literally changed her life because she focused on muscle instead of building muscle, maintaining muscle, being strong, instead of just focusing on how fast can I lose this weight and how small can I get? And in the end, she actually achieved all the goals she wanted. She got lean, she got smaller, but in a way that she can actually maintain it. And she just wrapped up coaching not that long ago. And I'm confident, so is she, that she can go off and maintain. And that's really what we want to see happen.
Definitely.
Yeah. And I think I really want to hammer home that it's not enough to not be intentional with strength training to build muscle, which is something we repeat also pretty often. But we really want to hammer it home that we want you to know you need to lift heavy in the gym. Like you said, Jord, Diane went and trained in a gym because sometimes just training with weights at home, if you only have a couple weights and not enough resistance, it's not going to be enough to see the change when it comes to sculpting your body, when it comes to getting strong, when it comes to building strong bones, when it comes to improving your metabolism. You really need to ask yourself if what you're doing is creating enough of a stimulus for that change.
Yeah, because it can only take you so far at home.
Exactly.
Right? If you don't have the necessary equipment. I actually think that's one of the coolest things that we see with our clients, that transition, because a lot of the women who come to us do start at home, right? They have maybe a couple of bands, a couple sets of dumbbells, and then they start to really understand the power of building muscle and what it takes to actually build that muscle. So they'll either invest in more home equipment, which is very cool, or they'll join a gym so they can use that commercial equipment. And that's like a big goal for a lot of our clients.
I agree. I love that part. And when you do have that reframe that we're not focusing on just fat loss anymore, we're focused on sculpting your body around that muscle preservation or addition, you need to eat for that goal differently, which means that it's far more strategic to be prioritizing more protein, to probably be eating more than you have before. A lot of women will still think about things like intermittent fasting and stuff like that. And at this stage of the game, I really prefer my clients, and I've seen way better success with more balanced approach to meal timing and allowing them to have really healthy hunger cues and allowing that protein to really help keep them satiated along with the fiber, because that's what's really going to fuel the body to have them have the energy to then lift the weights, to then start the cycle of repair that needs to happen. So you're not going to magically get untired, but you have to start somewhere to create that cycle of change. And this is it.
Right.
Do you girls have anything else you'd like to add there?
I was going to say this is a great segue to Mare sharing about hormones and what we really need to do instead of just focusing on just that one symptom, which a lot of wellness people are peddling right now. So I'd love if you could speak to that.
Yeah, of course. I actually love that we're having this very real conversation about hormones, because I think that's one of the biggest reasons we hear that women feel that they are stuck, especially in their 40s, 50s, and beyond, right? It's always, I can't do this because of my hormones. So let's start by saying, yes, we've already talked about this. We know hormones do change at this stage of life, but they are not, and I'm going to repeat, are not the reason why you can't make progress. So what's happening during this time is that your body's shifting to a new phase. So like we've talked about, the strategy needs to change. So we know that estrogen and progesterone, it fluctuates. You already went over that, it affects your sleep, your mood, your cravings, energy, all of those things. But I find a lot of women look at this as like a doom and gloom time. Like they are doomed now that they are in this stage of life. And I feel like a lot of women also throw their hands up in defeat because they're just really quick to say like, it's my hormones. But that's not an excuse to like opt out of taking care of your body. If anything, this is the time to kind of put the pedal to the metal and do it more than ever.
Because then the hormones, they get worse with you giving up.
That's what I was going to say. It's like the changes are happening and it'll make everything feel 10 times harder. So this is why we're talking about actively building muscle and, eating to support your metabolism. Like I said, women often use hormones as this catch-all explanation for what's going wrong with their body. We talked about fat in the midsection. It's my hormones. I'm tired all the time. It's my hormones. So this is where we have to start taking health and fitness very seriously, because it's that belief that keeps people stuck. So we know hormones change, but it's the choices you make that are going to get you out of this. What's really going on right now is, we've touched on this. A lot of women are not eating enough protein to support their muscles. If they're doing workouts, they're not training with enough intensity. They're just kind of going in and checking the box. And now listen, we celebrate all movement, all exercise, but again, there needs to be strategy and intention behind this at this point. We also see a lot of women who rely too much on cardio. So they've grown up kind of thinking that everything they want for their body, it's cardio. So they're lifting light if they're lifting at all. And then they're doing all this cardio. And again, this is just overtaxing your body at a time where you need to have more strategy. And I'm going to go here. The other thing I find a lot of women focus on, especially when it comes to hormones, is they get really hooked into all this nonsense with supplements and hormone balancing protocols.
Oh my God.
And I have to go get this test and I have to go get this test. But what they're not doing is the basics. So they're spending all this money, this time, this energy, trying to fix their hormones that they're not even actually supporting in the first place, right? So again, all of these things, it's just keeping women stuck.
I want to rant for a second because here's the thing. We are not hormone experts and we don't claim to be.
Mm-mm.
But what really bothers me is that when you do listen to the hormone expert, like a medical doctor, they will tell you that you can't take some person who doesn't know how to interpret things and be like, oh, okay, this hormone needs to be fixed. This convo of this DM that I started with this lady, she was saying, I feel fine, but it must be my hormones. And I'm like, well, you would know if you felt symptoms. So anyways, if you go to a doctor, they might say, okay, your hormone levels are actually okay.
Mm-hmm.
Even though some person says your cortisol, do you know what I mean? They can interpret things, and these wellness people, what they're doing is basically telling everyone, if these are your numbers, you need my supplements.
Right.
And that's what I have a problem with, because it's about how you feel and it's about what actual medical professionals are telling you too. I think that's important.
Mm-hmm.
If you're listening and you're like, maybe I do need to work on my hormones, the way I visualize it, a pyramid of interventions, of things you need to do first, second, third, like a protocol that everybody should be doing before they start all of these other protocols and interventions, because one feeds off of the next. And if you're not creating time for recovery, rest, proper sleep, that's, to me, the foundation at this stage of the game. If you think there's a hormone problem, it's probably starting with a recovery problem. Then you need to look at how you're nourishing yourself and hydrating yourself, and what are your macros? Are you hitting your fiber? Are you doing the grown-up big girl things that you're supposed to be doing to be healthy? Then are you moving your body the way that you're supposed to be moving your body to keep your muscle, build more muscle, feel good in your body? And if you're doing those three things and there's still an issue, then start to get the medical interventions that's going to give you an informed perspective based on blood work, not random tests that are done by random people who are peddling all this garbage. You're going to get a medical intervention that's going to have somebody sitting there who's an NP or your actual medical doctor being like, here's what I see in your blood work. This is one or two areas that I would focus on first. Or let's go back to the training, the nutrition, and the recovery aspects you're doing. Make adjustments there first based on the blood work. Then let's add the supplements and the stuff that you might need. It's a pyramid. You can't do one before you've done the basics.
This is exactly what I tell people. All these people complaining about their hormones, I'm like, okay, let me ask you a question. Are you strength training 3 or 4 times a week? Are you walking every day? Are you getting outside? Are you drinking water? Are you eating regular meals? Because let me tell you, from all the women we've spoken with, a lot of our clients, when they come to us, they're not doing a lot of these things. So it's like, I always use the analogy of it's like putting out a fire with a bottle of water. You need to hose things first. You
No, it's true.
I'm not really sleeping, and I walk 3,000 steps a day, and I haven't really strength trained beyond a fitness class once every month, but I think I need a hormone protocol. No.
Yeah. And you know what, Jordan, just to kind of add to that, I love that pyramid analogy just because I feel like it's a good visual for our listeners. The handful of women I can think of that I've worked with who've gone to that point where they've gone to their medical professional to get a hormone profile, these are the questions that they ask them. Exactly that. Are you doing the foundations? And so we find a lot of our clients, when they do get to this stage, their doctors are quite pleasantly surprised when they're like, yes, I am doing this, 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 and this, because then, yes, we can move to the next stage instead of, okay, we need to take it back to the basics and the foundations. And everything we talk about on this podcast, lifting weights with purpose and, intensity, walking, hydrating, all of those things, sleep, these are the foundational pieces that are going to make you not only successful in your physical goals that you have, but in your health and wellness. And we also have to think of longevity. So what you're doing now at this stage is also setting you up for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years down the road. And when you do this, your body actually will feel safe. Your body will kind of like let its guard down. And that's when your hormones cooperate. So you don't feel like you're fighting your hormones anymore.
And exercise is not a punishment. That's kind of another key message that I want to hammer home. You're reframing a lot of what you used to believe about exercise, about cardio, about movement, about the way you eat. And I think we could tie this all together by saying, when we say work with your body, not against it, we mean you're prioritizing recovery. It's about doing less, but doing it better. What worked for you before might have worked, but it might not have been optimal. So can we train less and get a better result? Can we train smarter? Can we train with more intensity so the time spent, you're yielding more muscle gains, which is going to improve your metabolism? Can we build a lifestyle around movement where your default is not sitting at a desk all day? It's walking outside of that. It's all these things that are kind of like bigger picture. But we really hope that you guys got empowered to not feel hopeless to your metabolism or your hormones or your age, and to let you know that, heck, most of the ladies we work with are in the best shape of their lives. Right, girls?
Absolutely.
Some of my clients are in their 50s and 60s. Like one of my clients, Tanya, I'll give her a shout out. Like she always had fitness on the forefront, but she never really integrated everything into a lifestyle for herself. And what she found the best part of this journey is now has more muscle and she's leaner than she's ever been, and she's 55. And this is just her new normal. She eats this way, she moves this way, this is what she does on vacation, this is what she does at the cottage. And it doesn't need to be that she was doing more than before. She's doing less, but she's done it in a way that she's integrated into her lifestyle. So
I'm going to shout out somebody too.
Yeah.
This is very similar to my client, Vera. She was in one of those situations where she's in her 50s, and she actually did feel like she was doing all the right things because she was one of those people who was going to the gym, thought she was eating clean. If you asked her, she's like, I'm doing all the things and nothing's working. And a few times it was like, my hormones at this age. So we zoomed out, we assessed everything. And just like you said with your client, like we actually ended up reducing her training. So instead of being in the gym 7 days a week, she's now in the gym 4 days a week. We focused on lifting, the quality of her lifts, the intensity, progressive overload. We gave her more food, not less, more food, more protein. And then all of this actually supported her metabolism. So not only is she feeling better, but the results she wanted, they finally came. She was actually one of our Winter Sculpt winners, and she did her first photo shoot and in her 50s, like feeling on top of the world, fitter, stronger. And the coolest part is that wasn't an end for her. She's like, all right, coach, what's next? And she's ready.
You would never think that she's in her 50s either. Like she looks 15 years younger.
Not even just the look, she feels it and she exudes that. So that's what we see. It's not just like the physical change, it's the mental, emotional, it's the whole package. And it all starts with the basics.
And if I could add one other flip scenario of one of my clients, she really loves her privacy, so I won't call her out by name. But when she came to me, she was working out. She just turned 50 over the summer. And when we started working together, she had already been working out a lot. She had been running. She had been tracking her macros for literally a decade. And she came to me and was like, I do think something's wrong with my hormones, but I also think something's wrong with my plan. Can we do this simultaneously and work on this together? And here's where I think you will get the maximum benefit is if there is something wrong and you do want to parallel path this, there is a route to do that. And with the right coach, and this is what I love doing with my clients, is I'll be in touch with some of these providers so that we can work in tandem on what's going on and that we can make sure that feedback that one is giving and giving the other, that it's aligned. And so getting her HRT in order and the right protocol for her actually happened simultaneously to the nutrition and training plan because everything started to fall into place, that her HRT started to work better than what they were doing before. So they didn't need to keep doing increases or changes because her metabolic health was increasing. And,
Amazing.
And now she's lost that like 7-8 pounds of fluff that she was carrying around. And she's like, I feel amazing. And so now she's going to do a photo shoot in November, which is so awesome.
That's a great point to make, Jordan. I think that's what we want to leave you guys with, is that we are not saying that hormones don't shift. We have said that they do. We're not saying that these don't impact how you show up. They do. But we are saying that you're not hopeless to getting your best body yet. And sometimes that means combining lifestyle, which always has to come first, with other modalities. We also want to share with you that, the clients we shared who are crushing it and they're in their 50s, they're in their 60s or even beyond, they have some things in common, and success leaves clues. So we really want you to understand that they didn't get started on their journey until things were perfect. They didn't keep trying the same old thing again and again, even though it wasn't working. They knew that they didn't know what they didn't know, so they seek support. And they committed to doing something differently. They committed to a little bit of discomfort in the learning process, and they committed to some new structure and support in building these habits. So I share this because if it's possible for them, it's possible for you. It wasn't magic. They're not unicorns. They're great women. We all are putting in the work, but you can do the same thing. Hopefully we've empowered you. If you found this episode helpful, we would love if you gave us a share and if you give us a 5-star review, if you feel inclined to do so. We appreciate you helping us get the message out to more women. And this was a good one. I look forward to the next one.
And that's a wrap for today's episode of Get Sculpted. We hope you feel inspired, empowered, and ready to take the next step in your fitness journey. Remember, building your 2.0 body is a unique journey for you. It's about showing up for yourself consistently and not being perfect.
If you loved today's episode, don't forget to hit subscribe and leave us a review and tag us on social at getsculpted.ca. Your feedback helps us reach more women like you who are ready to cut through the noise and make lasting changes.
For more daily tips, inspiration, and behind-the-scenes content, follow us on Instagram and check out our handles in the show notes below. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time on Get Sculpted. Until then, remember this: getting sculpted isn't about working harder, it's about working smarter.